Everything Suspect Podcast. It's your boy Billy D. You know how we do. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Let's get into this. I could not do this podcast. I saw online there's a young lady by the name of Tierra Allen. She's from Houston. She's an influencer, and she's currently locked up abroad. And that's the name of this podcast. So, to get some background on the story, if you don't know about it, she traveled to Dubai. And while she's in Dubai, she has a dispute with somebody at a rental car place, an employee. And it gets into a verbal altercation. And then police are called. Police come. She screams. She's yelling. It gets out of control. And they take her passport and they take her into custody. She's locked up. And the charge is for screaming. She can do some serious time for this. This one really hit home with me. Primarily because I have been detained in Dubai as well, right? So let me just give you my story, okay? For those who don't know, I used to be in the military, and I spent large amounts of time deployed to Afghanistan during the war. So anytime I would go in or out of the country, I would always stop in Dubai. So I 100% understand why Tierra is going to Dubai. I've gone, I don't know how many times, just to kick it for a day or two when I'm going into Afghanistan, or to kick it a day or two when I'm leaving Afghanistan. Now, the difference between my situation and Tierra's is simply, I have been briefed. I know how to handle myself in situations or in countries before I go there. We are given briefings. We are being told what you can do, what you can't do, because there's a lot of things that you can't do in the Middle East, or there's things that you do naturally here in the States that if you do it in the Middle East, it can be taken different, especially for women. So this isn't going to be one of those podcasts where I end it with a question. I'm going to give you all a cautionary tale, and then I'm going to give you some advice for my young ladies out there who are traveling to different countries, especially when you take the trip to go to Dubai, when you go to the Middle East. This ain't Cancun, even though there's things to be careful for and to look out for when you're going anywhere. It just ain't Jamaica. This is not the Dominican Republic. This is the Middle East. So it's very, very important that you stand clear. So I had to have training in Virginia, North Carolina. I had to requalify for my weapons before I was able to go back to Afghanistan. So while I was in training, I picked up some souvenirs, that I wanted to take with me, some real cool stuff that I found in this little shop while I was doing my training. Didn't think anything of it. It wasn't anything illegal. It wasn't anything weird. Well, it could have been weird, but we'll get to that in the story. So finally land in Dubai. Lesson number 1. When you land in a foreign country, there are going to be people who will walk up to you as soon as you're coming to get your bags, that want to give you a ride. They want to be your taxi driver. They want to be your valet. Never say yes to those guys. Even if the price that they give is amazing for your safety, especially my ladies that's going to be traveling to the Middle East, never take those deals. In every airport, no matter where you are on this marble we call Earth, there is a taxi line right outside the airport. I promise you that. And that's something that we're taught as military members when we're dumping and jumping in and out of countries, right? So that's rule number 1, lesson number 1. So this guy comes up to me. It was a very, very, very long trip, very frustrating. I had a lot of issues with my travel, and the airline was just not friendly or accommodating to me. So by the time I get there, I'm tired. I'm angry. I just want to get to my room. So I don't have a lot of grace to give to people who just want to interact with me as soon as I get off the plane, as I usually do, because usually when I land in Dubai, like that, just I catch a different energy, my vibe different. Everything just levels up. So not today, not that day. So this dude walks up to me, and before he can even get his pitch out, I'm automatically thinking this guy is a taxi driver. I said, bro, I'm good. I don't need no ride. Leave me alone. I've been here many times. We're good. Right? And so he's like, okay. So leaves me alone. Lesson number 2. Always be aware of your surroundings. So I walk past him, and then I get to baggage claim, and I'm looking around, and I see that my bag is sitting by itself just in the middle of the carousel. Everybody else's bags, they're already pulled off the carousel. The carousel is no longer running, and all these bags are over here, and then mine is just sitting right there. And so then it clicks. I'm like, okay, cool. Something ain't right. All right. Where's the dude who was just trying to give me a ride? I find him. And what I notice is he's not talking to anybody else. He's not trying to get a ride or give a ride to anybody else. He was just only trying to give me a ride, or so that's what it seemed. So as I'm walking, I'm like, okay, cool. I can't grab my bag, and this dude is up to something. So in that moment, I'm trying to think quick of what I can do to buy time. And so what I saw right ahead of me and what I was familiar with was there was a cash exchange, and the cash exchange had like a line of people because we all just landed. So I'm like, all right, cool. I just want to get somewhere where I can survey. I want to see if anybody's going to touch my bag, if anybody's looking at my bag, if anybody's doing anything with my bag, because something is not right. So I get in line, and I'm just, I got my headphones on, I'm chilling, I'm waiting to get cash, and and I'm looking, and I'm watching this guy. He's not talking to anybody, and he's not looking at me, but he's not looking at me, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm like, all right, cool. This is a setup, but there's nothing in my bag that will require that. So why am I being targeted? So I finally get my cash, and when I get my cash, I go over to the other bags. I walk past mine and go to all the other bags and start looking around, acting as though that's not my bag. I'm just looking for mine. And at that moment, he stopped looking at me. He stopped paying attention to me, and he just like turned his head and he walked off in a direction going back towards immigrations. As soon as I saw him do that, I hurried up, I grabbed my bag, and I darted out, right? As soon as I dart out, I should have known it, but I forgot because I was just so concerned with what was happening in that room. There's one more x-ray machine right as you grab your bag, and you're like through a corridor. You walk out this door, through a corridor, and then you're like in Dubai, like taxis outside, beautiful, all the things. They stop me. They look at the bag, they stop me, they take my bag. Let's run your bag through the x-ray. I'm like, oh man. All right, cool, man. Let's just get this done. So they run it. They're looking. It's taking a long time. And before they can get done with it being out, they're like, can we see your passport? Here's my passport. They take it, they don't even look at it. They keep it. Then they pull my bag out. And as they pull my bag out, they open up my bag, and they're just doing that disrespectful thing that you see in all the movies, whether it's Casino or whatever, where they're just taking your stuff and they just throwing it until boom. What I had was a machine gun round that was turned into a keychain. which means it had to have a hole drilled through it so you can put the little key loop in there, right? That's what I had, but it was a real life rare machine gun bullet. I thought it was a cool thing to have. They classified it as a weapon of war. And they detained me in Dubai the same way they did Tierra. For my people who are going to go to Dubai or have gone to Dubai, when you see that little area right there where they can still run where it's still an x-ray machine, that door across the hall, that's the police station. Then that's where they took me. So old dude is doing the whole thing. Like, now he pulls it out. He's like, he's shaking it in my face as though he just found a quarter pound of whatever you want to call it. And he holds it up with my passport, and then he's holding it up in the air and he's walking. And so I feel like I'm in the third grade going to the principal's office, and everybody's like, ooh, as I walk by and they see this dude holding a bullet, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness. So they put me in this room, and then finally the cab driver comes in. He looks at me and smiles. He was an undercover cop. Who knew? But I knew he wasn't no cab driver. So at this point, what was funny about the situation, and this is lesson 3, remain calm. I know we are living in the day and age of Karens, and from what I read about Tierra's interaction, she might have got into a little bit of Karen persona, right? One thing I will say about ladies, not black ladies, not white ladies, not Asian ladies, not any ladies of any kind of specific race, but women tend to have a very, very high demand of good customer service. Guys, we don't really care. We ain't trying to take no food back. We ain't trying to daggone, go to Kohl's and send it back to Amazon. We'll just figure it out, or we'll hold on to it because who knows, I'll probably need it for something down the line. My women, Walmart, Chinese restaurant, Burger King, that it don't matter. We are living in the age of where women is not trying to put up with nothing, that they want their money's worth. And if you can't give them their money's worth, they want it for free because you messed up. And you can't do that and have those demands in countries like Dubai. There's a lot of places in the Middle East where you can't turn up. You can't turn up in the UAE. I'm telling you, you cannot turn up in the UAE. You cannot turn up in none of those spots. And she did. Luckily for me, I was so angry and tired, but I was more tired than angry. I didn't care. I just wanted to lay down. So when they pulled me into the police station, they started pulling up all this paperwork that they wanted to print out. They was, I was going to have to be locked up and all of this. And they were talking to me in Arabic. I think it was Arabic. And then the papers they were printing were all in Arabic. And at that point, I felt like I'm being set up. Lesson 4. If there's a language barrier, shut everything down. Refuse to talk until they get somebody there who can speak English. Refuse to sign anything that's not in English. Don't do nothing until there's English representation there that can help you through this. I saw the setup. So I pulled my phone out and I just put on my voice recorder and I put it down on the table. And then I just said, hey, I'm not signing anything that I can't read. I'm not talking to anybody who doesn't know English. So y'all either gotta lock me up until y'all can get somebody here, or y'all can get somebody now who can talk to me or print these papers out. I was like, and I also don't sign nothing that's not in English. So that really made them angry. So that's when they went and they did they went to the next door, and this little glass there is just like in Seinfeld, when Seinfeld was trying to get the rental car. And they said they didn't have no rental car for him. He's like, but I got a reservation. And so the reservation keeps the car here. And so then she says, I'm going to go talk to my manager. And then she goes in the back and she go right behind the window and she pulls somebody and they're having a conversation. And Seinfeld refuses to believe that they're actually having a conversation. He actually believes that they're having that conversation in which there's like, he just wants us to have a conversation with somebody. Can we please have a conversation or dialogue and act as though we're still having to talk about that? But they were mad when they went back there. I'm watching them have that same conversation that they had on Seinfeld. I'm like, this ain't gonna be good. I might not go home. But because I was there as a government contractor, and this is what I guess you all don't have that you are traveling freely to the Middle East, is I knew that I didn't do anything wrong. So I had that weird confidence of, y'all can play with me if you want to. If I don't show up to Afghanistan, it's a problem for y'all. This would be an international incident, and I don't really care. I know whatever y'all are going to do to me, it's not going to be forever. I'm not going to be Brittany Griner. I'm not going to be the person who is still locked up, the Marine that's still locked up over in Russia. I'm not going to be none of that. I'm not going to be John McCain out here. I'm getting out because of what I am here to do, or because of what I'm on my way to go do. So it gave me a certain level of peace. So I say that to anybody that travels, especially ladies. There are certain things you can't raise your voice. Women are second-class citizens in these Middle Eastern countries. So like the liberties that you don't have those over there. You're coming into their law. They cover their bodies because they can't. And she's an influencer, so I'm sure like the culture shock that she felt and that she's currently going through, like it's mind-boggling, because she's never been in a place where she can expose herself for shows. And I've seen some of her pictures. Like, she can't wear that kind of stuff in Dubai, or if she does, it has to be like in certain areas. She can't flex like that. This is a good lesson. So when it was all said and done, and I told them who I was and where I was going, where I was staying while I was there, and what I was doing while I was there. But once they realized that I was a person who was actually going into Afghanistan, and I gave them, when they started going through my passport and they saw like, oh, this ain't a regular dude, that made them upset, because it's almost as though they wanted to keep me. They wanted to make me an example. They wanted to make sure that like nobody else does this ever again. But they felt the need to print out all of my stuff. And then they said, okay, look, where you are no longer detained, but we are keeping your keychain. So all the paperwork that they had printed out for me that was going to keep me locked up, they switched it all out. That was in Arabic. They switched it all out, and they gave me one piece of paper. And that one piece of paper was, you're no longer detained, but your item that you brought into this country is detained. And if you ever bring something like that in here again, we will lock you up. And so they allowed me to sign myself out on my own reconnaissance. This is on my actual IG page. This is the actual document from Dubai Customs. This is the detainment form that they switched it out. That's what that is right there. Really, really crazy. But I say all that to say, I'm hoping Tierra comes home, though it was only for yelling, I get it. But I get it because I've been there. I'm not done traveling. I don't even know how many countries I've been to. But before you go, look up some of the customs before you go to those places. My ladies, look up, what can I wear? What can I say? What's the customs for women? Because these are things that that are going to put a mark on you, and that they're going to be looking at you when you come through, because you are out of towner. It ain't cool, and they will lock you up for nothing. I just really want our women, as a man with a daughter, to be very, very careful in how you move. Be careful who you move with, and stay safe.
Everything Suspect Podcast.